It's been about a year now since we did a Ozzy review, and I figured we'd give the Diary of a Madman his second studio album.
While Blizzard of Oz put him on the map, his debut as a solo artist, this album did so much to pedal his career forward and also just the sound of heavy metal in general, especially around this time. Even though Sharon has done her fair share of cunty things.
The View.
Yeah, exactly. She's responsible for a large part of his relevance and his staple in pop culture even till this day.
He had the talent and the skill, and she had the brains and the means of operations. Any musician he's ever had in his band is just always amazing, especially Randy.
Except for the bass and drums, which apparently Sharon did not want us to acknowledge that there were bass and drums.
Yeah, she screwed them pretty hard, yeah.
Without further, Bovine Excrement, Over the Mountain. Even though the drums and bass have never been a focal point for Ozzy, drummer Lee Kerslake stands out from the first seconds with the high-energy drum fill.
The classic dad heavy metal song, iconic intro.
Even though he's not complex, the beat is a perfect canvas for Randy to do his thing and lay one of the most iconic songs of his career down. The primary reason I think Ozzy is so successful as a solo artist is because of the uniqueness of his voice. You know that's Ozzy from like the first 0.3 seconds.
Yeah.
Not to mention the vocal effects, the signature vocal effects that he puts on all of his songs. Perfect. It's the Ozzy effect.
They should add that in Logic. The Ozzy effect.
Should be the name of his next album. You're welcome.
It should.
Randy reaches Eddie Van Halen levels with his solo, not only the high gain harmonic tone, but with the lightning speed and precision as well. This is one that gets a little bit too much playtime, but the fact that it holds up against so much abuse of the play button, just a testament to its excellence. I give this one a 7.5.
A staple point in Ozzy's career, I give it an 8.
Damn. Mama's gonna worry.
I've been a bad boy. No, you're saying sorry.
Randy's running start into the song paired with Ozzy's ad-libs are stellar.
Randy's just kind of, it's hard to tell if it was flange, but it was kind of like, I don't know, what do you think?
It was the big hair harmonic patch on Logic. Hearing Randy the entire time, I just kept thinking Van Halen. I can't help but think there was some kind of mutual inspiration going on there. Ozzy actually, fun fact, was a potential replacement for David Lee Roth.
I don't know if Ozzy would really work, but...
Yeah, because you got it right here.
Actually, you got a point.
Second smash radio hit in a row, Flying High, again, is the perfect title for the skyscraping and memorable hook, tied together nicely by the stereo delay effects.
The Randy Rhoads solo in this is one of his staple legendary ones, one that you just immediately pick out. Stuff that a lot of people can't pull off.
Because of that space and atmosphere created, this is easily my favorite. On the record, 8.5.
7.5.
It's impressive to see how well Ozzy's voice wraps around these softer songs like in the beginning here.
Randy pulling out some of his classical background on the really mellow intro, and I think Ozzy's lyrics really stood out well.
Randy also impresses not just with the styles, but the tone he was able to get. Mix-wise, it's Randy and Ozzy, and wait, there were bass and drums too. There weren't even any credits on the album liner.
They just weren't there.
It's kind of a shame too, because there were some excellent bass lines, especially in the second half by Bob Daisley.
Ozzy's lyrics really do hit home for a dying genre. I'm not sure if at the time it really is as much as it is now.
The title certainly didn't age well. But what really is the definition of dead in this case? Because when I was into like exclusively rap in high school, I thought rock was dead. This like old people music, boomer music, all this stuff. I kind of got reintroduced to it by doing the show here with you. I see that there are so many, even young people that are still into this kind of stuff and love this kind of stuff.
The record companies determine what's dead and what's alive. You know, industry plans, they can push your music.
I think it's what the younger people are listening to, like our age, and what's on the charts. Just because it's not in the forefront, the labels aren't shoving it in your face, doesn't mean that it's not alive. It was very much alive on this one. I give it a 7.
I give this one an 8.
Okay, the beginning of this was literally running with the devil. They even had the headstock scrape, you know, when he does the...
Yeah,
you know
they did. A simple, eerie intro and another shine through for Bailey as the bass player. Even though he wasn't on the album.
The sound effects and some of Ozzy's vocal effects too add to that haunting atmosphere.
Randy like blows open the song with that fantastic metal riff. I love it.
Some awesome tricks too, like the start and stop thing he does near the end. The sound effects work well too with the guitar, as many of them blend together to make the guitar sound like it's going off into the distance towards the end. 7.
Give it a 7 also.
here comes the formula.
Here comes the... I have like 4 things for each of this.
I'll do you one better. I have 3 things for this one. Strong showing from Bob Daisley, who we're not supposed to acknowledge was on this album. And then we'll have the Metallica bass player redo all his parts. Heavy reverb makes Randy's solo sound that much bigger too. But yeah, Ozzy's, he got his hands on the formula.
It's like Plankton getting the formula for this one. The tempo change at the end was cool, but yeah, formula.
6.
6.5.
Excellent mix on this one. The bass is nice and prominent, and the acoustic guitar is a nice switch up. But yeah, we got another formula here. That works. That works.
I thought Randy and Bailey were able to play together, doing kind of alternating riffs that formed for the remaining 4 minutes and something minutes. Yeah, formula.
The keys by Johnny Cook, who was not on this album, give the intro an excellent ambience.
The return of the fast-paced Ozzy that we've seen on the beginning of the album, classic rock vibe as well.
Even though the formula is hard at work here, a big thing that I noticed is how Randy took so much pride in his tone on this album, that every solo has a different tone to it.
And I think that's important. It shows attention to detail.
7.
6.5.
They closed the album with one of the best tracks on it. It's a roller coaster from the start. Randy switching back and forth from a wistful acoustic melody to the heavy riffing that we're used to.
I think it's one of Randy's best intros, and just like on Believer, it's got that creepy, eerie, delayed reverb guitar. Ozzy continues along well with his lyrics that match the actual tone of the song.
Absolutely. Ozzy sings with soul and emotion throughout, but specifically through the middle section. Marching drums also do so much to build up the anticipation for one of Randy's best solos on the album, and features yet a different tone. Powerful closer. I give this one a 7.5.
Definitely my favorite on this album, just for its uniqueness and how it really is just totally different from a lot of the other songs. So I give this one an 8.5.
Overall, I think it was an incredibly, obviously strong showing from Ozzy, one of the most iconic metal albums of all time. While I do personally prefer Bark at the Moon and its much more diverse track list and more memorable songs, this was a stellar follow-up, and just having Over the Mountain and Flying High again on one album is pretty damn impressive.
It is. Those two together really already just have a recipe for success. I think Blizzard of Oz kicks a little more ass. Bark of the Moon is great, start to finish, but this album being the final album with Randy, you just see how he really poured his heart out into everything he did, and it's a real shame that we couldn't see him on more than just 2 albums.
Overall, I give this one a 7.
Overall, I give this a 7.5.